I don't know how he's able to put all those flavors together to make one good soup, but I'm excited for people to check it out and see.
Welcome to Daily Variety, your daily dose of news and analysis for entertainment industry insiders. It's Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. I'm your host, Cynthia Littleton. I am co-editor-in-chief of Variety alongside Ramin Satuda. I'm in LA, he's in New York, and Variety has reporters around the world covering the business of entertainment. In today's episode, in our cover story segment, we'll hear from Variety's Salome Hailu on her profile of Keke Palmer, the very busy star of the upcoming Neon film I Love Boosters and the Peacock comedy mystery series The Burbs. That was Palmer you heard in the cold open talking about Boots Riley, the director of I Love Boosters. The movie premieres next week as the opening night film of the South by Southwest Festival in Austin, Texas. But before we get to that, here are a few headlines just in this morning that you need to know. School is back in session. Abbott Elementary has been renewed for Season 6 on ABC and Hulu. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's Artist Equity production venture has struck a first-look streaming deal with Netflix. Damon and Affleck, of course, just starred in the Netflix heist film The Rip. Alberto Berbera has re-upped as artistic director of the Venice Film Festival. He'll be back on the Lido for 2027 and 2028. South African film and TV industry workers are protesting the disruption in the country's production tax incentive program. They are taking a stand during the Joburg International Film Festival in Johannesburg this week to bring attention to the situation. Variety's correspondent Christopher Voorlees has a report from on the ground. Fifth Season has made a big change with its unscripted content. Mary Licio, who had been Executive VP of Non-Scripted Development and Production, will launch a separate banner called Quite Contrary Pictures. That will become the new home for all of Fifth Season's non-scripted works. Licio will be tasked with building out a slate of documentary features, docuseries, and reality formats. A handful of Fifth Season executives will join Licio at the Quite Contrary banner, including Alyssa Johnson. All of these stories and so much more can be found on Variety.com right now. And now it's time for conversations with Variety journalists about news and trends in show business. We're going to hear from Variety reporter Salome Hailu on her cover story about actor Keke Palmer. But first we'll get a sense of Palmer in her own words. Palmer will be with Variety at South by Southwest in Austin as I Love Boosters has its premiere on March 12th. She'll go from the premiere screening to Variety's invitation-only cover party presented by Neon to celebrate the movie and our South by Southwest issue. It should be Keke-tastic. As part of our cover story package, Palmer shot an episode of Variety's signature video series Know Your Lines. She's hands down one of the most enthusiastic guests we've ever had. You can find her full Know Your Lines video at Variety.com and on our YouTube channel. Here's a clip of Palmer talking about the formative experience in her childhood that made her want to be a performer. And that's followed by my conversation with Salome.
I always like to play around. I think for me, like hamming it up as a kid, I didn't know it was called acting per se. I like to just, get into a character, get into a vibe, you know what I mean? And then my parents slowly would start telling me about acting because maybe they knew that I would like it. Like, I don't know. They also that's how they fell in love. So they were always talking about acting. And they took me to my first musical show when I was like 5 years old. I went to the Black Ensemble to see this musical of Jackie Wilson's story. Jackie Wilson is the one who did My Heart is Crying, Crying, Lonely Teardrops. He's really good. My dad's favorite singer. And so I would always hear about it, acting, everything like that. And so then when my parents asked me if I wanted to do it, I was kind of like, yeah, seems like some just fun stuff to do. Child, it became a career. I mean, it was like I blinked and I would all of a sudden have my own TV show. It was crazy.
Salome Hailu, thank you for joining me today.
Hey, Cynthia.
Well, congratulations on your first cover story of 2026. You have delivered us a terrific profile of actor Keke Palmer. It is the cover of our South by Southwest Festival issue, which is terrific. And her movie, I Love Boosters, is going to get a big boost in its premiere at the festival. So it all comes together. Listeners, I can't wait for you to see this cover. Keke looks amazing. She looks so good. The color scheme is amazing. And Salome's words inside are equally colorful and really give you a portrait of who this person is at a really interesting pivot point in her career. What are some of the big themes that stood out to you in the time that you spent with Keke and painting this portrait of who she is at this moment in her life?
There was something Keke said to me that didn't make it into the story, but did color the way that I was writing the story and thinking of her career during this which was she made a joke about how she feels like she starts every sentence these days with "since I had my son." She's 32. She had her son right before her 30th birthday, and she's definitely in a moment of kind of reprocessing her whole life and thinking about what she as a person and as an entertainer and what her career kind of means in the world and what she can do with it. Working with a figure like Boots Riley, who has been a very countercultural artist for decades now. He's a self-proclaimed communist, very proud of that title. He's been making political hip-hop music since the 90s. So she spoke to me a lot about how processing her upbringing in the industry as someone who's been acting since she was very, very young, as well as becoming a mother and having to think really critically about the kind of world she wants her son to live in and the world she wants to live in and the kinds of headlines that we're seeing these days. Put her in a position to really just start thinking about how could I start using my position as a celebrity and my work as an artist to put out some work and some ideas that I want people to be thinking and talking about. And you get that with I Love Boosters, which it's an ensemble comedy, sci-fi comedy. She's at the center of it. Playing a character, a booster, which is a term that, means somebody who shoplifts high-end goods and then resells them for low prices at a profit to themselves, and then also gives access to high-end things to people who normally wouldn't be able to afford them. So she's kind of in this trio with her friends of women who go to a designer clothing outlet that's run by a billionaire fashion designer played by Demi Moore.
That just sounds like fun right on its face.
The three of them ransack these stores of these clothes that cost hundreds and thousands of dollars, wear them themselves, sell them to other people, and kind of continue to learn more and more about the shady dealings of this billionaire. Boots Riley, the writer-director, uses that tension between those characters to talk about labor and capitalism. And yeah, it's a real ride.
I have no doubt that there's a lot of discussion of the materialist nature of our economy and how much our economy turns on the desire of these luxury products. Were you surprised that she opened up so much to you when the two of you sat down after a long photo shoot?
I don't know if it was surprising, partially because Keke Palmer is just like a name that's been around for so long and she has had so much to say for a long time. She's pretty known for being quite, she's a podcaster. She talks a lot about both her personal life, her career, how those things intertwine, her views on the world. She's such an interesting person because, again, she's not a child star anymore, but she's 32. She's still quite young. But at the same time, her screen debut was in 2004, when she was maybe 8 or 9 years old. She thinks of herself as like a businesswoman before she thinks of herself as an actor. And that's something that we talked about a bit too, where, acting is what she's known for and it means a lot to her. But she thinks a lot about kind of the synergy between her projects, what messages come together when you put all of her different works in conversation with each other. So it was very in line with her ethos that she was so candid about, wanting to discuss the politics of this film and how they applied to her own life.
And as a podcaster, that's such a platform. I believe she even references like she has entrepreneurial drive. That's a base that can lead to other things down the road.
Yeah, that's her whole ethos, both for herself and for other creatives. This is something else that didn't go into the story, but we talked a good deal about this project. That's her baby right now, probably what she's most excited about, called Key TV, which is basically she is producing work, both creative first work and digital advertising type work, spearheaded by young creatives of color that, she's someone who's been big in the digital space for a long time, and she has partnerships with companies like Google and Amazon, and she's leveraged those to get investments from these big tech companies and pouring them into this platform that she's working with these young people with. And we were talking, she was like, it's not making money, but it's not really about making money. I just wanted to create some kind of a content pipeline that allows people to develop their resumes. And she said she was thinking about it akin to a platform like the American Black Film Festival, where people like Ryan Coogler, that's not what you talk about when you think of his career, especially with a big movie like Sinners right now. But filmmakers like that often got their careers launched in these really small places that ended up connecting them to the people whose names you don't know, but who have pockets that matter and who can launch a career. And so she's trying to get on the ground floor of a lot of different things right now. She's a real businesswoman, and that's kind of how she approaches her work.
Well, I have no doubt that people are going to be talking about Keke Palmer as they absorb this cover. The photos are incredible. She really looks amazing. Before I let you go, Salome, you will be off to South by Southwest next week. What else are you looking forward to?
I'm really excited about Pretty Lethal, which is like bloody ballerina thriller that's part of the headlining lineup this year. That one looks like a lot of fun.
Salome, thank you so much for once again delivering us a fantastic cover. And I love that we have your POV on Keke Palmer. That, I think, is what makes this story so chef's kiss.
Thanks so much. I mean, I'm very excited. This is our first South by Southwest cover for Variety. We have a party coming as well, celebrating the cover in the movie. And as you know, South by Southwest is a hometown festival for me as an Austinite. So this has been a really fun project. And I think people have a lot to look forward to with Variety's coverage of the festival.
Viva South by Southwest. As we close out today's episode, here's a few things we're watching for. Ike Barinholtz is launching a video podcast, Funny You Asked. It's described as fast-paced trivia with comedic storytelling. It premieres March 25th and will drop episodes weekly. It's from Shorthand Studios and Underscore Talent. If you've ever wanted a glimpse into the world of professional bowling, does HBO have the show for you? Born to Bowl is a 5-part series following 5 top players as they seek the championship on the Professional Bowlers Association circuit. It's produced by A24 and Ben Stiller. It premieres March 16th. Don't miss my Q&A with Jeff Zucker and Marco Bassetti on the Sbanijay All3 Media merger that took the industry by surprise earlier this week. The two discuss how they plan to put the companies together and why they both felt they needed more scale to compete in this environment. You can find that story on Variety.com. We love to hear from our listeners, so please send thoughts, gripes, and other feedback about Daily Variety to podcasts@variety.com. Before we go, congrats to Danielle Carney. She's joined Paramount Skydance as head of U.S. sales. She's spent the past 4 years at Amazon Prime Video as head of sports ad sales, and she was with Disney and ESPN for 15 years before that. Thanks for listening. This episode was written and reported by me, Cynthia Littleton, with contributions from Salome Hailu. As a note of disclosure, Variety's parent company, PMC, also owns the South by Southwest Festival. Stick, snicks, hick, picks. Please leave us a review at the podcast platform of your choice, and please tune in tomorrow for another episode of Daily Variety.